Greetings, alchemists. Welcome to my portal. I hope you guys are doing amazingly well. Today we are going to be doing a pick a card reading for you guys, and I'm here with
Vasily. We have 3 groups, 3 piles for you to choose from. The question we are going to be exploring today is, what is your next era, or what chapter are you in your life are you entering? For group number 1, we have number 3, the Starborn, represented by the egg. For group number 2, we have 6, the Mentor, represented by an owl. And lastly, for group 3, we have number 2, the Father. We have contrasting landscape imageries.
so take a moment, pause the video if you need to, decide which group you feel called to the most, and we will see you in your reading. Hello, group number 1. Welcome to your reading. I hope you guys are doing amazingly well. So we are going to be seeing what is the next phase of your life. Where are you going? Where are you headed? What's your next chapter? If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, check out my website, which is linked down below. So you guys chose the Starborn. The Starborn, an elusive yet radiant aspect of the self, the Starborn archetype points to the cosmic spark of light that arrives with each being at birth. The moment the newborn crowns, the royal stars above are said to constellate in a unique shape that maps our path in the world. The idea of destiny is controversial, yet the Starborn naturally feels a sense of destination and purpose, aiming itself toward a future that is beyond the mundane. When this card appears, travel back to your birth story for clues and insight. What did you desire when you were young, practicing your life from a mythic point of view rather than a series of logistics? Read the story of the 3 fates and envision yourself born under the stars with a unique destiny. So yes, you guys, I feel like the next phase of your life, with you choosing the Starborn, you're definitely ready to break out of your own shell. You're definitely ready to get out of your own way, I'm hearing as well. But you guys are ready to take the spotlight, and you're also ready to step into your destiny. I think before it wasn't really time for you guys to step into your destiny, and this is especially if you've been feeling like you haven't been stepping up to your calling or your purpose. It may not have been the right time. You needed to pour into yourself more, or there were still some things for you to learn along your journey before you could actually step into the purpose you're moving into. But I'm also thinking of the movie A Star Is Born, and there's a really good song in there in that movie. I forget what it was, but if you guys know A Star Is Born, you know that like song, that iconic song that they always sing. But either way, something about the Starborn, literally, it's like the next phase of your life is you likely becoming a star in some way and fulfilling your destiny in whatever way that really means to you. So let's go deeper. So your first card, you have the Emperor in the reverse. Okay. So you guys have dealt with authority in your life that is overbearing, and also I heard condescending. You could have dealt with some condescending people or energies in your life, or some people that were very overbearing, and you haven't felt like the leader in your own life in a really long time. So this next phase of your journey is about allowing yourself to be the leader, but you also have to be aware about taking on that role too much, to the excess. So some of you guys, you have experienced these types of people that do try to be very overbearing in your life, and you wanted to free yourself from that, and that's the next phase that you're entering. But you have to be careful not to then become the overbearing person. Like, that's a part of your karma, is that maybe you've had people that act that way towards you, but soon you will be in a power of position, and the question is, will you then start to act in those ways now that you have the power and the ability to do that? And I do feel like that's unlikely just because you're watching this video, but that is what you have to ask yourself. So there could be a fear. I would say there's a fear of power, and there's a fear of really fulfilling your destiny, because you've seen people with power as negative, and you've seen people with power as being very overexerting their authority, overexerting their power. So a part of you, even subconsciously, could not want to have that power because there's a negative connotation or perspective that you have of people in power. So now is a time for you to allow yourself to kind of come to terms with that, have some sort of acceptance, or change your perspective to realize that even though you can have power without being the villain, or without feeling bad or like you're a terrible person, because power in your hands is actually a good thing. So let yourself receive that. It's time for you to unlock that. That is the next phase of your journey. But you don't have to worry that you will be having that power at the expense of others. If anything, it's something that will positively impact yourself and the world around you. Okay? You guys have the Seven of Pentacles. So, Seven of Pentacles talks about your investments paying off, putting a lot of time, work, effort, energy into something, and finally seeing results, seeing something happen, seeing something um, grow from that. So, I feel like hard work and dedication. Some of you guys, maybe you have been working on something for a really long time, um, and you feel like, when is this going to grow? Um, your next phase is actually seeing the results of that. But I do think with the Emperor in the reverse, a part of the reason why you haven't been seeing those results is because you're afraid of the power that you would get from actually receiving your goal. Okay, so how are you going to let yourself receive that? If you're afraid of that person, if you're afraid of the person that may make you be. So you do have to um, continue to work through letting go of that fear of being a bad person because you have power or accolades. The star is born, you have influence as well. Be aware about being afraid that you will. It's like you could be stopping your own blessings in some way or resisting them because you don't want to be this terribly you know this terrible person that kind of just takes advantage of others. But you have been in the previous phases of your life because that has built character, that has built humility. So now you're ready to enter this phase of your life because you have your character developed. Your character may be tested, honestly, because you will have a new level of affluence that you didn't have before. But you have to trust yourself enough to know that you'll stand firm in your roots. And so don't reject, let yourself get to the point of your character being tested in those ways. Don't completely reject it because that actually shows that maybe you don't actually trust your own character, that you think your ego will win in the end. How much tame or control do you actually have over your ego if you're so afraid that you will then become this like exert the force? And I would say for some of you guys, you could be less aware about this. It could be more of a subconscious fear that you have to forgive someone in a position of power that did take advantage of you personally, or just what you've seen even from an outside perspective, where maybe you've seen it happen to those around you or in society in general. There's a lot of emperors in the reverse, overall as a collective that we all experience. So ask yourself, what is that you're holding on to that is kind of causing you to not let yourself receive this? And in the end, whether you're conscious of this or not, it's something that so you guys have to really consciously work through, or it's just something that you'll have to work through once you get here. And you have to not let it be something that causes you to stifle your own growth out of the fear of your own potential or power. Okay, so the next phase of your life is definitely you guys seeing um, results from what you've been working on, gaining a new level of power, a new level of influence, really cracking open your shell. And the starborn energy is also giving like not a fear of vulnerability. There's a lot of colors here. You're letting yourself be multifaceted. You're letting yourself express all the different aspects of you, and you're not holding back on who you are anymore. So the next phase of your life is being unapologetically yourself and not being afraid to let your light shine, no matter what anyone else has to say about it. And you will see a lot of things, a lot of abundance is going to show up in your life as a result of that. Okay, it is never too late to do better. Yeah, and some of you guys maybe feel like you could have done better, or you weren't the best person in the world. More often than not, people feel like they aren't a good enough person. um Basically everyone feels like they're a bad person, literally everyone. So don't block your own blessings because you feel like you could have done better. If you're actively making a change or effort to be a better person, that's what's important. So know that it's never too late to do better. I feel like some of you guys, you could just be not forgiving yourself for something, so you definitely have to take accountability for the things that you did wrong or that you could have changed, or not could have changed, but that could be the perspective. You feel like you could have done something differently, but a younger version of you, especially if certain things, like maybe you felt like, oh, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or like, oh, if you'd done this differently, then that would have happened differently. It's like, how much can you overanalyze what your past self has done, and how much of that is actually just um, this redundant loop where you actually just have to forgive that past version of yourself, especially if they went through a negative experience or whatever the case is. You have to forgive that version of yourself in order to move forward into this next phase of your journey. If you're continuing to hold on to that, then you'll never let yourself grow beyond um, that version of yourself. So basically, what I'm saying with that is just realize that you made mistakes as a younger, less aware version of yourself, but the ability to recognize mistakes is already showing your growth in general. If you weren't able to see the ways that you could have done things differently, then you would be in the same place. But the fact that you can see the ways that you would have done things differently already shows that you're at a different level. So there's no reason to hold on to that sort of resentment towards your past self. If anything, that's just self hatred, and just really putting yourself down, when actually you should be uplifting yourself and being proud of yourself that you have changed or evolved from that version of yourself, and you now can see the ways that you would have done things differently, or the ways that you would be better in the future, no matter what that is. Okay, so alright guys, sorry about the brief pause. I just turned off the audio in the background so that I'm making sure it's not warping the sound or anything, but let's continue. What is the next phase of your journey?
Next card we have in store for you is a crystal card. Specifically, we have the ruby as it relates to your group, number 3, the starborn, number 3 being the number of the card, not the group number 3. The ruby talks about increased abundance, passion, lucid dreaming, light of the soul. This is telling me that maybe you're having images in your dreams and you're becoming a bit more in tune with your dreams, and that could be sort of, maybe you're starting to keep a dream journal, maybe even thinking about keeping maybe even thinking about starting a dream journal. That's actually a really good way to remember your dreams in the future. Set you, and maybe you're starting to explore some of the symbolisms and imagery in them. So I would use that as sort of like messages from the divine. Use those symbols, images, words, feelings, things you might be creating in your dreams to sort of guide you into what your heart and your mind are really asking of you, of your physical self. Don't do this lightly. Ruby tells us about passion. Definitely go into it with intention, go into it knowing what you want. And if you don't know what you want, that's okay, because you can't really force it. However, it will come naturally. You know how people say love will find you? It's not, it's doesn't mean you can just stay checked up wherever you are, because that's unreasonable. But sort of, don't force it, but don't avoid it. So, with that will come increased abundance, obviously. And at the very end of the ruby card, we have the light of the soul. With that, let's transition on to our next cards. This is the quantum tarot deck. It has a lot of imagery from sort of science, and it's really cool because it sort of integrates spirituality and science. A lot of people think those are incompatible, but at the end of the day, a lot of the great scientists do state intuition is the most important way to figure out the secrets of the universe. So they really are inseparable. So I'm just going to lay them out both at the same time. And it's actually in the reverse, so this might be indicating something that we should be looking more deeply into our life, something that we might be lacking. And here we have the sort of imagery of a spirit or a human sort of holding their hands up. If we zoom in a bit, it seems like this is a feminine figure, sort of in between two pillars. I want to say, if This is a planet in our solar system. Perhaps this could be Venus. And over here we have sort of molecular imagery, and we have swords sort of piercing out of it. So that obviously indicates sword card. And this here, I don't think I was focused the first time I showed you that. If you can see clearly, I believe this is Venus, and we have the wands. So this is going to be in traditional tarot, this correlates to the Seven of Swords. This correlates to the Queen of Wands. And what this is telling me in your new era, something to be mindful of, is that at least with the Queen of Wands, we want to sort of lean into our feminine energy more. That will definitely aid you in sort of making a easier transition into this new era. With the Seven of Swords specifically, this sort of symbolizes, and I'll tie this. I mean, I'm over here, as I said, with the light of the soul of the ruby. This, you can sort of see how we are holding our soul up above us. Sort of stay in tune with your. I think what it's telling us is to not forget our humanity, not forget who we are, sort of hold our soul above us, and I think it's telling us to nurture ourselves. Maybe even neglecting sort of self-care. In society, if men are sort of told to, men are seen as people who don't take care of themselves. On the other hand, women are very into taking care of themselves, and I think this card is telling us, especially if you're a man watching this, that you shouldn't be, even though society tells you self-care might be a feminine thing, that's not a bad thing. You want to take care of yourself. Don't be afraid of how society may view you as more feminine, because feminine and masculine are not societal kind of society might apply sort of negative labels to a biological male tapping into their feminine side, but feminine and masculine are divine concepts. They're not something that society can really judge you for. So going back to the Seven of Swords, if you can see here, as I zoomed in, if you want to go back in the video and sort of pause on where we zoomed in, this sort of symbolizes radioactivity. If you're familiar with how molecules can, or atoms can, decay and release radioactive energy, this represents strategies, scheming. It sort of represents like sort of going through your life with tact and intention. So maybe it being in the reverse is telling me that currently you are going through everything a bit too meticulously, and it being in the reverse is telling me that you sort of want to let go and allow yourself, sort of allow the universe to guide you. If you are too if you don't want to overthink, and obviously thinking is good, but overthinking can sort of, you'll miss the forest for the trees. And this card being in the reverse is telling me that it's good to sort of let go and not necessarily think too hard about the next steps. Maybe in your new era, this sort of resonates with the Queen of Wands in reverse. Maybe you've been neglecting your intuitive side, and these two cards are together are telling me that in this new era, in your new chapter of the life of your life, you want to be a bit more intuitive, a bit less uh, a bit less step oriented, a bit less planning oriented, because it is possible to overplan. If you plan your life out for the next 5 years, do you really think that's what's going to happen? Does that really make sense that you can plan out the next 5 years of your life when things can be so chaotic? You can meet new people that will really just change your perspective on things. Why don't we sort of, yes, it's good to have a plan for next day, maybe the next month, but why don't we sort of let go and allow the universe to guide us? Maybe look into numerology, look into symbolism more, sort of allow, maybe from more of you, logical, sort of maybe scientific. And I like using the scientific deck so it resonates with people who are a bit more scientific. Maybe sort of tap into the beauty of spirituality and how that can be a guiding force. And sort of also, if you are not really if if you're not really, if it's uncomfortable for you, much of our audience will be comfortable naturally with spirituality, but maybe if some of your friends or family are uncomfortable with these concepts, maybe implore them to read into, because obviously they've heard of Einstein and perhaps other great thinkers out there. Sort of nudge them in the direction of telling them to look up Einstein's life history, because he says that a great imagination and a great intuition is the greatest source of inspiration. So if the greatest scientific mind of the last century is telling you to do this, maybe maybe it'll change their perspective, in that a balance should be achieved between sort of strict logic and intuition, because there's always a balance to be achieved, especially if that scientific thinker was able to, was using his spirituality to guide his science. And we can continue with the traditional tarot Rider-Waite-Smith imagery deck. And we have a few cards in reverse and judgment card in the upright. So this is telling me that judgment is telling me that we want to go into this new era of your life, this new chapter of your life, not we want to look at we basically want to, we don't want to judge ourselves, but we want to see what we've maybe could have done better in our previous chapter, sort of learn from things that we might have been, maybe you've been judging yourself too harshly, and this is telling me that it's not really your fault the way you've acted. Doesn't necessarily give you an excuse for the way you've acted. If maybe you're holding on to something, maybe you have some guilt about some things, it's not your, it's you can make excuses for how you've acted. However, if it what matters now is how you move forward. So don't sort of linger into the past. Judgment card is telling us that we want to be aware of why we have maybe done some things that might bring us guilt, but improvement will always like be better than not, than sort of looking at our, then sort of like being guilty about ourselves. And I think people are very forgiving. So if maybe you've done something to someone in your past, if you move forward with grace, you'll be surprised at the results. And the Two of Cups in reversed, and the
Also, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But I also was just getting a channeled message as he was saying that some of you guys maybe have like done things to get ahead. Like you maybe were wronging people at some point. Like maybe you guys at some point were the snake. So if you know specifically, this is only specifically, this isn't for some of you guys that could be hard on yourself and you need to, you know, take accountability and change in order to not feel bad about your past. But some of you guys literally know that you did something, like you stole from someone or you were in that like shisty energy. And so I feel like the next phase of your journey, you may meet people that are like that. Like this is only for some of you guys in this reading, but for some of you guys, if you specifically were the shisty snake vibe at some point, um, the next phase of your journey, you may have to clear some karma where you may meet someone who is shisty, but um, by you having that interaction with them and kind of there is some sort of karmic, and it's not to say that someone's going to steal from you or that you should be afraid or something like that, but it is to say that you may come into contact with some shisty characters. And I feel like for a lot of you guys this was a karmic thing. Some of you guys, you could have had shisty characters attacking you but you didn't do anything wrong, but now you know how to counteract them, versus some of you guys, you were the person that, because you encountered shisty people, then you became one of them or something like that, or you did something to get ahead. Like there's been some sort of karma with that in the past, but the way that it's resonating in your new chapter is that um, you may have people around you may have people like that around you, whether it's karmically that you have to experience that because you did it to others, or whether it's just a part of your karma in general because of the energy that you're embodying with the starborn. um, so just know basically that the next phase of your life there will be Seven of Swords energies, or there will be people that are deceptive, and I feel like that is going to be part of your journey. So being able to stay in tune with your intuition and stay true to yourself is also what's going to be really important to make sure that you guys don't end up kind of in the wrong groups of people or around the wrong crowd. So as long as you're being true to yourself, that energy will work itself out. It will alchemize itself in a way that it doesn't stop your progress or your abundance.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what the Two of Cups in reverse is really embodying right now. That there will be a type of karmic. You might have some karma left over, and you will encounter some characters that might sort of be the karmic release. And the way you can get through that is maybe understanding your past, and that this is an encounter that will be happening, and maybe you can use this. You can show this person that you might be encountering, like, instead of having a type of revenge energy, you can show them. You can be graceful about it, and if you are graceful about it, it might be a bit uncomfortable, but if you're graceful about it, I think that will be the type of karmic release that will sort of allow the universe to separate you from your past actions. And I think that's really embodied by the Hanged Man too. Yes, the Hanged Man in reverse really does show that even though it might be sort of a stagnation card in the upright, in the reverse, this person is not a hanged man. He is sort of standing. Honestly, it looks like they're doing a balancing act. So this will this will be a balancing act. However, I am seeing a very positive sign with this Hanged Man in the reverse.
Yeah, and for some of you guys, if you know that you didn't wrong anyone in this lifetime, then this is like past life um, things karmically playing out. But also with the starborn energy, as you become your more true authentic self, you will attract people like this, but just know that you have the discernment and the intuition when you're being authentically true to yourself to um like remove this energy. Not even remove it honestly, because it's something that you will just have to live with during the next chapter and phase of your life in terms of shisty people. But the more true you are to yourself, those people will filter themselves out, those energies will filter themselves out, but it is an energy that you're kind of working with during the next phase of your journey.
We're going to continue pulling cards. We have 5 left. These next 2 are going to be from the Edgar Allan Poe deck. We have the 5 Ravens in the reverse. We have the Queen of Eyes in the upright, and let's pull a um, mindfulness affirmations card. We have meta loving kindness 82. Let's see what that says for us. Pain. That's a very clear message for um,
Yeah, you guys have a lot of red, so work with your root chakra this time as well.
so with the let's pull the next two. Yes, I mean clearly the ruby, the red, that's the hangman with the red pants. um, Gaia gateway activation. Let's get all these cards on the screen. And then lastly we have the central sun. So let's start off with the Five of Ravens. So the Ravens traditionally the Ravens is associated with the traditional suit of cups, while the eyes with the eyes of Queen is associated with the traditional suit of wands. Now, when it comes to the specific interpretation of these cards in reference to the Edgar Allan Poe deck, we have the Five of Ravens calling for a change of heart, which is directly related to entering a new chapter, and the Queen of Eyes calls for not calls for exactly. The Queen of Eyes represents an extrovert, outgoing, non-judgmental. So we have the Judgment card here, and it's nice that we have a transition to more of a non-judgmental, maybe you might have. This is not the time to, even if your past life or even if your past self has been not the greatest person, this is not the time to sort of feel really bad about ourselves, even though that might naturally occur. It's really the time to be non-judgmental about ourselves, understanding why things have happened, and sort of being okay with it, but also using it to inform our future actions. And going back to the Five of Ravens, we have a change of heart, uh, feelings of pessimism, failure, and disappointment, but it being in the reverse pretty much means that we are leaving all that behind in our past chapter.
Yes. Okay, so definitely letting go of the past. You guys have pain, so this is going to be a good meditation for you guys to do. Sit, bring loving kindness to any specific location where pain or discomfort arises. Um, so yeah, you guys could have some blockages within your root chakra. There's some fear-based energy that you do want to work through so that it doesn't affect the next phase of your life negatively. Okay. So we're gonna read Gaia Gateway Activation, Learning Experience, Wisdom Transmission, Earth Intelligence. Sometimes it is not our role to know how everything will unfold. When you draw this card, it's a reminder to trust the plan. The wisdom of Gaia is with you at this time, and you can enjoy the natural expansion that is taking place. You may have a tendency to go traveling and to look to the stars for answers, but realize that the planet you call home has much to offer too. You have chosen to be here. This may not be easy to accept, especially if your current reality is a harsh one, but your current experiences are vital for your growth. The Earth herself cannot escape the challenges that she is facing at this time. Learn from her strength, learn from her yearning for a better future. Come back to her. She is your chosen home. So yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys, the next phase of your life is really gaining clarity of purpose and gaining clarity about why you are on Earth. And sometimes um, that energy is also just acceptance or appreciation as well. So I feel like the next phase of your journey is basically just for some of you guys that chosen home energy. You chose to be on Earth, so it's that chosen home energy of just resonance with Gaia and feeling in the flow and feeling more connected to Mother Earth, feeling more grounded. That is a root chakra blockage. If you don't feel connected to Mother Earth, maybe you guys are too maybe your higher level chakras are really open, but you guys need to ground back into reality to kind of face some sort of discomfort. that you've experienced, okay, that's what's going to realign you guys. So there is a sense of like grounding back into your roots, maybe even discovering your chosen home as a result of that energy of getting very grounded. Then you can actually start to build things from a more rooted, grounded place where they're not just going to fall apart. So the next phase of your journey is grounded from a grounded energetic space, creating your stability, creating your home energy, creating your foundation in whichever way that means to you. Okay, and then you guys have the central sun. Okay, the central sun, the great central sun is shining brightly in your life and upon your world. This is a time to regenerate. Tiredness and old energy are being washed away. Old skins have peeled off to reveal a sacred and more aligned you. This is an exciting time. Central sun energy is magnetic and all powerful, opening you up to light and supporting you as you express your own light in this lifetime. New ideas, opportunities, and experiences come easily to you at this time, like the sun kissing the perfectly ripe soil. The seeds you have planted are being encouraged to grow. Realize that in order to go beyond your horizon, it's important for you to welcome energetic exchanges. When you help others, you let yourself be helped in return. When you invest energy in projects, you let energy be invested in yourself. So I definitely see you guys being able to create really positive relationships, and that's why that Seven of Swords energy, that deceitful energy, was being called, because some of you guys will be in the spotlight, so that will attract people that want to kind of, take that from you or just kind of drain your energy, things like that. But also, the reason why that's important is because it's not telling you to completely close yourself off, that you will have energetic exchanges that are important. So I feel like for you guys, it's important to allow yourself to kind of go with the flow and actually not focus too much on the exact details, and more so just harnessing that sense of being grounded and rooted in yourself, staying true to yourself, staying true to your values, staying true to your character, um, and just allowing yourself to invest in your stars, your starboard energy, which is your whatever it is that you want to share with the world, and most of all, not being afraid of your own authenticity, allowing your authenticity to shine through, and really facing that discomfort so that you can feel that reconnection, so that all of it can kind of balance out energetically. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're seeing for you guys. Group number one, definitely a very interesting reading. You guys are, the next phase of your journey is definitely going to have a lot of energetic impact around it, but you guys have the solidness to like hold it down. If you Let me know how this reading resonated for you guys as well. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe, like the video, and yeah, all that. Much, much love. Namaste.
Okay, so the mentor card. I'm reading directly from the book here. It is said that cosmic knowledge pours down on the world like a great illuminated waterfall. This can be an overwhelming force. The true teacher, though, is said to be able to hold this flow of wisdom at bay while the student sips from a focused stream. So I really like that imagery. The teacher is having so much knowledge that and even then they're still learning from their sources, so there could be so much knowledge that the teacher is gaining. It's not about teaching, actually, it's about being able to distill the information in such a way that the student isn't overwhelmed. So actually it's the art of not over teaching. Continuing reading from directly from the guidebook, we have the mentor archetype has a gift for reading the room, or sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student, whether pleasant or painful. Change. And this is, I'm going back to speaking freely here. Change, the new era, new chapter. It's basically saying that it can be pleasant or painful. Continuing from the book, the mentor may appear aloof or available, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know when This serves the soul. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good, aids in the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets its humble link and mistakes himself for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into shadow. So that's very interesting that the mentor plays a very important role into not sort of falling into their own ego and realizing that the dissolution of ego allows the student to absorb freely and efficiently.
Exactly. So a lot of you guys could literally be spiritual mentors in some way. With great power comes great or not, with great wisdom. Well, in the first pile, some of you guys could have messages in the first group, honestly, because there is a little bit of this message about how much power you hold. But with great knowledge or wisdom comes great responsibility, which I don't know if that's even actually a phrase. But I feel like your next phase is that you guys do have a high level of wisdom, and it's your turn to share it. So I kind of think of the Karate Kid now, um,
Yeah,
kind of
that's what I
vibe.
was thinking too when I was trying to like, does the student teaching the a student teaching the teacher, sort of the Karate Kid imagery came to my head.
Hey, yeah, so a lot of you guys are getting what you've been wishing for, what you've been hoping for. I feel like your next phase is kind of just sitting on what you've acquired, what you've learned, just feeling proud of yourself. Like you're very relaxed, you feel very chill, you feel very fulfilled. It's like you're the King of Pentacles, so you did what you needed to do to now sit on your throne and relax. And you're also the Nine of Cups, so you did what you needed to do to now sit in front of all of your cups in your space of wish fulfillment. And now others are looking to you like, wait, how did you do that? Or how can I now get there too? So some of you guys, you could feel like you'll never get there, honestly, and this is confirmation that no, you're very close, and this is the next phase of your life where others may actually be wanting to learn from you because they can see the success. The next phase of your life is like this successful reaping period. Um, and even though you are in the space of the mentor, it can also just be an energetic thing. It's not to say some of you guys, I feel like you do feel called to teach and you do feel called to share your wisdom. Um, but it's not to say that you have to, like, just by you putting out this energy into the collective consciousness, you are teaching those around you because we all are collectively, energetically in a co-creative space, so we're all co-creating our reality. So just you putting out the frequency that you're putting out by having your wish fulfillment, your job is done in itself. For some of you guys, it could feel more pressured, but overall, the next phase of your journey is being in that space of the mentor. And I do feel like there will be other people that are looking up to you, or there is some sort of way where you're kind of showing the way to others around you. Maybe could be literally one person, or it could be a lot of different people that are looking to you, learning from you in some sort of way.
Certainly, the atmosphere, the environment, definitely influences how we are. And just a quick affirmation, sort of to transition to the next part of this group 2 reading. I am living my best life here and now. Uh, Even though that should apply to everybody, this might be more salient for you because you have now all this knowledge that you've acquired. I think we were referencing the quote about responsibility and having power, and how with that comes great responsibility. So responsibility is good. You get to be an adult. Uh, you get to sort of influence in a good way the next generation, and that is your best life. You are literally moving the earth, moving the world, moving the universe forward into progress and growth.
Yeah, you're passing your wisdom down and all
Certainly,
around.
yes. Uh huh. Right. Yep. The owl. Yep. Exactly.
Water, emotional intuition, psychic powers, and healing. So you guys will be very just going with the flow. The next phase of your life is just going with the flow, letting go, surrendering. I'm living my best life. I did what I need to do. Now I'm living in the flow. I'm getting to reap the rewards. And I'm also in a space to teach if that arrives. I think that the universe may naturally be sending people towards you where you see a little bit of yourself in them, and you may pass on wisdom without even really realizing it in a way that maybe at some point For some of you guys, someone passed on wisdom to you and they didn't realize how much it impacted you, or maybe they did, it doesn't matter. But say when you were younger, someone older, wiser at the time said something to you, and that just stuck with you, and that's something that got you to now sitting in this place of the King of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups in the space of the mentor. So see that person, if you guys have that experience. It can even be more of a spirit guide or a spiritual influence too. And now it's like you guys are going to take on that role almost unconsciously. You cross paths. Like, the universe is definitely sending people that have had your previous experiences, um, people that you'll see, like maybe the more disheveled version of yourself that wasn't really kind of sitting pretty or feeling very just at peace. And you'll see yourself in them, and you will be able to give them the advice that you wish you heard or you did hear, or just what you have to share is something that's going to help people around you. So you guys are, even if you're not taking a teaching role, like if you are, then just know you're going to thrive in that. But it's like the universe is naturally sending people to you where like your energy will positively impact them or lead to their own growth or understanding as a result of meeting you or knowing you.
We have the universal, or the quantum tarot, Six of Swords in the reverse, and the Eight of Wands in the reverse. So with the Six of Swords first, specifically according to the guidebook for the quantum tarot, it talks about fermions and bosons. Those are theoretical, even though they're really small, basically particles. If you're familiar with particle physics, it represents sort of leaving, the card itself represents leaving a difficult situation, moving into clearer and physical mental space. But it being in the reverse sort of tells me that you might not necessarily be leaving a difficult situation in directly in the sense that it's difficult per se, but more that you've put in a lot of work as perhaps maybe a student or learning from someone. And although it might have been, not necessarily difficult, but it was, something that took a lot of your energy. So when we hear difficult, I think the reverse is telling us that it wasn't negative, in fact, because the Six of Swords in the upright, I feel like, has more of a negative connotation. So it being in the reverse sort of shows that it's not something that it's not something that was traumatizing exactly. Just like if you're pulling all-nighters you're in school, you're pulling all-nighters, literally, you're a student, you're pulling all-nighters. Yes, that's difficult, but I wouldn't necessarily put that in the category of something that is necessarily traumatizing. And now moving on to the Eight of Wands.
Depending on how much homework you had.
Yeah, I mean, no, sometimes it can be overwhelming to, especially if you have a harsh teacher. Yeah, it can get into the traumatizing kind of territory if the teacher was. Yeah, I mean, who
Wait,
wants?
now that I said that too, I'm thinking about. I saw this quote, or someone said something at some point about how like your coach can ruin a sport for you, and I think that was someone that was like on the Olympics during an interview or something like that. I don't know, but now I'm thinking about someone saying like your coach ruined the sport for you or something like that. For some of you guys, maybe you did have a coach or someone like that that almost crushed your spirit in regards to something, and so the next phase of your life could actually be about you maybe reconnecting to a different mentor that doesn't have that same vibe or energy, or even now being the mentor where maybe you love soccer, so you may actually become a soccer coach, but you remember the soccer coach that you had that really almost took away your love for the sport, but now you have the opportunity to not be that way, to be a better version of them, something like that. But some of you guys, you have negative experiences with people in like teaching roles in your life, and now you're getting to like take that power back and learn from them, but honestly learn from them in the sense of learning kind of what not to do. Some of you guys, you are learning from a mentor in terms of what to do or taking positive teaching skills from them, but some of you guys, even if you've had negative mentors, you now get to learn from them by them showing you everything you don't want to be.
Yeah, Don't let the person, because these subjects or the fields that you're learning about, they're way bigger than one person. Even though it might have been, if you were working somewhere, for example, in the medical or legal field, I know a lot of you are probably taking positions or roles in those fields. It can be high stress. Working with lawyers or doctors, it can be really um, just really intense and harsh sometimes. So don't let them be representatives for a field that has a lot of great people in it, and a field that you could probably prosper in and do a lot of good for. So to use them as learning points, in fact, as something you don't want to be, um, like the mentor, um, especially the cards being in the reverse. Maybe you do have unfortunately, a pretty harsh mentor, so don't really let that impact as was said, don't really let that impact your love or passion for the field that you're in. And closing off the quantum tarot, we have the Eight of Wands in reverse, which represents the supernova. So basically, most of you've probably heard of a supernova. That's the end of a star's life. Not all stars go supernova because they're not massive enough, but regardless, it being in reverse tells me that this phase in your life, generally a supernova is very destructive, even though it spreads out stardust into the universe and allows new elements to be formed. The reverse is telling me that you are going through a very changing point in your life, and the reverse is saying that it has supernova energy, but it's not quite it's more of a controlled kind of um, phase change. So supernova basically is the explosion of a star. However, sometimes uh, supernova can create uh, all the matter that is pushed out by this explosion sometimes comes back to form another star, sometimes like they call it a neutron star. So maybe this is the transformation phase where you are becoming a more stable kind of person who is more grounded in their abilities. As suns are very a sun or a star is very our sun or stars are very like volatile, gases everywhere, solar flares and all that. But if it undergoes supernova, sometimes it can become a smaller star, a more stable, structured, kind of disciplined, kind of um, a disciplined, formation. So this is a very transformational moment. It doesn't necessarily have to be. If the reverse is telling me that it's not a destructive kind of moment, it's more of just a transformative kind of moment. And we can continue pulling from the deck. Our group. We have back to the traditional Rider Waite Smith. We have let me create some room for us. Perfect. So I'll just say what the cards are, and we can sort of collaborate on what they mean in terms of the mentor. So we have the Ten of Cups. We have and I like how we have two tens. Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, sort of symbolizing completeness, and overall, the ten itself symbolizes completeness. Then we finally have the Moon. The Ten of Cups, sort of, and the Ten of Pentacles. I like how we have the Moon sort of closing off this 3-card spread that we're integrating into group 2, because maybe there's an angel number going on here, the 10 10, and in fact 18, so that's a pretty big number. 10 10 18 would be 10,000, actually 10 10 18 101,000 and 18. So maybe this number, if you've ever seen this number in your life, 100, 1018, this reading is a direct message to you. Or maybe you were born on 10, 10, 18. That's highly unlikely because you'd only be 7. But let's say let's say your child was born on that in
Yeah,
October.
with the mentor, you guys definitely could actually be moving into the phase where you do have people looking up to you.
Yeah, so if you're and I think that would be 10, 10 might be Scorpio, because I know for a fact 1028 is Scorpio. So I know that because that's one of my family members' birthdays. So there might be some kind of we have some water symbol. I mean, right here you have not a scorpion exactly, but you have sort of like a crab like uh it looks like a scorpion almost, because it's probably a lobster, but Scorpio is what we're talking about. So less more like a scorpion than a crab is what I'll say for this. Definitely not a fish. So we have, yeah, angel number 1010, 101018. If someone you might be like mentoring or teaching, maybe some of your if you're a teacher in school, maybe some of your students might I would say this is if you're an elementary school teacher, if any of your students were born on October 10th, 2018, that could this reading like is a direct like message to you and how you might be um, mentoring or teaching your student.
Yeah, so 10, 10 energy, definitely completion, but there's a lot of emotional fulfillment for you guys. And then also the 10 of Pentacles, that's stability, security. So the next phase of your life is definitely feeling very emotionally fulfilled and also creating a stable foundation. Um, some of you guys want to create a foundation that is very secure, and you're going to have the space to do that. I see you guys surrounded by a lot of loyal people, a lot of loyal energies. um, the moon card showing up, I do feel like the next phase of your life, there may be some things that aren't seen, but it's almost like you're allowing that to be as it is. So with the moon energy, you guys actually specifically could be meeting someone who's the opposite of you, but you realize that even though that person is the opposite of you, there's some sense of like connection or collaboration or something like that. So for some of you guys specifically, be open to connecting to someone unexpected or meeting someone where you guys really clash in a lot of different ways. You're like almost polar opposites. Maybe you're fire, they're water, something like that, or you're water since we have the water energy here and they're fire. Um, but I feel like the mentor energy, even though you guys are the mentor, you also are going. When you're talking about the energy about people being sent into your path for a reason and them learning something from you, but also there could be people being sent into your path and you're learning something from them. So be open to that. Like even the mentor, some of you guys could be connecting to like this fiery energy that offers you some sort of like advice or teaches you something. But either way, there's just a lot of opportunities to learn and grow during the next phase of your journey. And I feel like you guys will also be connecting with like-minded people. So maybe you have felt like the mentor a lot, but you also want people that can be the mentor for you too. You don't want to um, always be the person who's always teaching. So that could be a source of contingence for you where you feel like you're the person who's always teaching, and now finally you're learning something from someone else. So I get like-mindedness. You could actually be connecting like with a panel, or like you could be working with other mentors too, where you guys are all collaborating like for the greater good. So I see you guys definitely meeting people that you can learn from, and that positively impact your life.
Indeed, and I just verified that October, specifically this part of October 1010, is spanning in the Libra. So Libra, if any of you are the air signs or Libra, their strengths are balance, fairness. So I really like how we have the 1010 imagery over here, because it's a very balanced kind of situation. Definitely, if you're not if you're feeling an imbalance in your life, sort of try to see what you can do about that. And when it comes to maybe some of your weaknesses, if you're indecisive, conflict avoidance, or people pleasing, the moon is telling us to maybe review that in your relationships. There might be, I see the moon as an illusion sometimes, so there might be an illusion of sort of, because Libra, if you're Libra, you're pretty big on diplomacy, so don't let your people pleasing tendencies, your diplomatic kind of nature to override your true feelings about the situation, which the moon would really be telling us right now. Moving on to our next two cards coming from the Edgar Allan Poe deck, we have the Ten of Eyes. I'm very pleased to see that we have another 10 card here. And we have the Page of Graves. So
yeah, completion.
right. So
there could literally be 3 different karmic contracts you've completed, or more so just 3 significant lessons that you're finally closing out, learning and grounding, that you're not learning that same lesson again. So really important for some of you guys that feel like there's repeating cycles in your life.
Yeah, third time's a charm, like we want to first, the fool me once, fool me twice kind of saying, the third time you should know by now. And that might just be enough for you as a student. You might be a bit anxious as a student. Oh, when am I going to be ready to teach others? You might not feel ready, but if, maybe you're taking, maybe you're going into your third year of something. A lot of professional schools, on the third year you're ready. So sort of keep that in mind. And just referring back to our next the two cards we've pulled, the Eyes is connected to the Wands, and the Graves is connected to the Pentacles. So we've talked about completion, and the Page of Graves, or the Page of Pentacles specifically, is you're just learning how to become grounded in your role as a mentor.
Yeah, so let's get into the Gateway of Light activation cards that you got. So you guys have Serifim's Gateway, you have Anunnaki Light Codes. Alright, so starting with Anunnaki Light Codes. Energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle. Yeah, you guys have definitely closed out. You guys are closing out some major cycles. This reading is obviously about your next chapter, but sometimes your next chapter is repetitive. So you guys are definitely not showing that, okay? Extreme energy of ending out cycles and moving forward. So if you would like to connect to this energy, say Anunnaki, Anunnaki, Anunnaki 3 times. I welcome in the presence of the Anunnaki people. Thank you, angelic cosmic beings, for immersing my energy body in your light codes. So that could be a positive message for you guys to say, to invite in this energy into your life, which is that energy of closing out a cycle, allowing new information and a powerful energetic shift. Yeah, some of you guys could feel like you know what you need to know. Now you're ready for new information. There's always more to learn. So remember to be open-minded, that sometimes your perspective isn't wrong, but it can be expanded. I feel like you guys are you've gained a lot of awareness, so just be aware about being stubborn-minded to new information, okay? Be open to being the student even in the place of the teacher, okay? So great change is coming to you, but this can only occur if you are willing to shift your perception. You may be experiencing resistance to change, but please know this is simply fear of the new, not intuition. If you are wondering what is the best course of action, the Anunnaki are encouraging you to go with the new. Old systems, old ways of being, and old ways of doing things must be released if you are to evolve. Change can bring a sense of vulnerability, but will allow you to make a deeper connection to your feelings, gifts, and what is important to you. You are standing at a gateway of pure potential that will be ignited as soon as you move through this necessary change. Be open to new information, new processes, and new ideas. You are part of the new energy upon the earth. So, yeah, you guys are like aging with the earth, I would say, in the sense that as you age and change, the earth is changing with you. So for that reason, you have to be very open-minded. Like the ways that, not to say that for like if you live in America or for a lot of different countries in the world, um, it's not to say that their ways of doing things have ever actually worked, but it is to say that you can't reference the old ways of doing things for the new earth that's being created. So just with that message, allow yourself to be very open-minded and very suggestible, um, in a healthy space to new ideas that are like beyond comprehension, especially about how we're building or creating our future. Okay, so as group number two, you guys are definitely a part of creating the new earth, meaning just the way that we've been doing things for so long is falling, and now it's time for us to rebuild the way that we operate as a society in a new way. And you're a part of creating that, so you have to allow yourself to be open-minded to new ideas that are even just out of comprehension because they've literally never been expressed or said yet, or they're just maybe so ancient or old that we haven't referenced them in so long. Okay, so let's see Seraphim's Gateway. So just be aware about the spiritual ego. So sometimes it is about, you know, never killing your ego but releasing your ego. So you have to release your ego to get to the space that you are in right now, but be aware that you can then develop an ego that, because you've gotten to where you are right now, you know, King of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, because you've gotten to where you are right now based on those principles. And it's not to say that those weren't wrong, because it's what got you to where you are right now, right? You still have to be open to the idea that maybe it's time to do um, new things. I'm thinking of the phrase like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like, just be aware about being that old dog, because yes, you are sitting here as the King of Pentacles, the mentor, the Nine of Cups, um, but in order for the overall evolution and the next phase of your journey is realizing that there is even more to learn. Okay, and that's not to say that you guys aren't open to learning, it's to say that sometimes your ego can trick you, where maybe you think that you're being open to learning, but you actually are so rigid in your approach that you're not allowing even yourself to explore new ideas. You know, maybe you have a certain way of co-creating in your reality and bringing things into fruition that you've just been so used to, but now it's time for you to bring things into fruition in a new way, and that old way just like kind of isn't working the same anymore, you know.
Certainly, like I really liked that, because what I was hearing is that you don't want to stop learning, because what came to me when I was hearing this is that as a student, you're not just learning, you are learning how to learn. So as a teacher, as a researcher, you know, now you have tools to learn. And when you have the tools to learn, that is when you can create, or you can find, discover new knowledge. So it's actually very interesting that as a student, you are not necessarily learning things, you are learning the way things are learned. So as the teacher, as the researcher, as the scientist, as the guru, you now know how to receive messages and dilute those, and and maybe collaborate with other experts in your field, and peer review your research. So it's all about asking the right questions rather than knowing what the answers are.
Yeah, and then you guys have Seraphim's Gateway. I'm not fully confident I'm saying that. Seraphim. I think it might be Seraphim. I don't know. Seraphim. Okay. Seraphim Gateway. You are blessed to receive the light of the Seraphim. Know that these beings of infinite light are singing your name in the heavens to unlock the power of your own voice. Angelic support surrounds you at this time. Know that you are safe, for you are being held by the presence of love. The Seraphim are witnessing the glory of your being and activating your angelic qualities. You care deeply about the welfare of the planet and all her beings. In fact, you are hoping to make a great difference in the world. And the reason for this is you are carrying angelic light. Let it shine on the world around you. Yes, so that speaks for itself. Your last card, you have books. Wow. So this is all really resonating. You guys seek a lot of wisdom. You guys are very prone to wisdom. And what I mean by that is that some people are unwilling to learn, but you guys are always willing to learn. So continue to hold that space, okay? By reading the writings of someone else, you meditate with your own mind and theirs as well. You create a macro idea space, a mixing of idea spaces amongst different people. A mixing of idea spaces amongst different people occurs. Order a new book you've been interested in reading. So this is your self-care message. Definitely ordering a new book that you've been interested in reading could definitely be beneficial for you. At this time, gain new wisdom, gain new knowledge, see different perspectives. But this also really resonates with some sort of like the next phase of your life does involve some sort of meshing of people with a supernatural intelligence or a very just open-minded perspective who are ready to be way showers of a new way of thinking, and you are going to be connecting with people like that, so your wisdom is going to be shared, but you're also going to be receiving wisdom back too. So yeah, that's what we're seeing for you guys, group number 2. Thank you so much for joining. Much love. Namaste.
Hello, group number 3. Welcome. If you chose this pile, we have the Father card represented by number 2. Right off the bat, I get that we have a nature imagery here. I sort of see maybe like an evergreen on the left, and if we sort of bring this in closer to the camera so everybody can see, it looks like we maybe have like tall grass, tall grass or wheat, and perhaps maybe, I can't really tell, but that might even be a coin, and a coin with a triangle. Very very interesting. So let's go to the book, see if that can get us any insight on the depiction of the Father card. Alongside the mother, the father resides in the central axis of the archetypal family. The father embodies both light and dark aspects of the masculine. Okay, so right off the bat, we have a light and dark thing going on, so maybe still not getting anything into this coin, but let's read further. Thus, he is infinitely dynamic and complex. His energy is strong and regal. Okay, maybe we're getting the regal kind of aspect is represented by the coin. It's sounding like embodying such virtues as honesty, wisdom, and loyalty. Yet, ironically and simultaneously, the father is often absent, literally or emotionally. Through absence or action, the father eventually reveals that he is neither a king nor a god, but a human being with many flaws and wounds, of course. He is both the guardian, the one who leaves us to the wolves. Very interesting. The father can never resolve or escape this duality. It is inherent in the archetype itself. Right, yeah, if we are defining the father as someone, yeah, the word father, in fact, yes, that would imply that. Witnessing the father's limitations allows the child to grow beyond the family into the world. So it's sounding like, yeah, the child, father, it's sort of the parental dynamic, sort of the child witnessing the father's flaws, and through that, the child can grow. And although the child, if they are a boy who grows into a man, if they become a father, they can sort of, they might also, even though they will also fall into the same patterns of the traditional or any father of the, what was it saying here? He is both the guardian, the one who leaves us to the wolves. It's striking a delicate balance of, like, the bird that's pushing the child out of the nest. You want to guard the father needs to guard, but also the father needs to leave you to the wolves. It may be more of a controlled setting where the father can always intervene, because in the future you will be left with the wolves, and inevitably your father won't be there to sort of monitor the situation as always, as he always was when they were part of your life. So we can start with this reading using the traditional tarot deck. Let's see what's in store for us.
so your next phase, your next era, what are you entering? What is the next phase of your life? So, first, the father energy is showing up, and I feel like that resonates with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, um, because that could be your feminine energy is blocked. And then you also have the Nine of Wands, which is like standing on guard or in a defensive space, but it also is about protecting your energy. But with the Nine of Wands, you do have to not hold on too tightly. So I feel like the next phase of your life, um, outside of that father energy, you guys may need to work with balancing your masculine energy, not being too deeply rooted in your masculine to the point where your own feminine energy is being neglected with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. But I feel like a lot of you guys, the next phase of your journey is starting over. You could have realized that you invested in the wrong things, or that whatever you built was kind of fake in some way, whether you built something under a false premise, in the sense that you built something with someone that you realize you don't actually want to build with, or wasn't who you thought, or you invest in a career and you realize it's not actually what you want, or you just, the fooling energy could actually be you with yourself, where you now realize that you built a life that you don't actually want. But the next phase for you guys is definitely realizing that maybe you did reach the Queen of Pentacles, so you guys actually did achieve something in your life, um, only to realize that it's not actually what you wanted all along, or there's just a sense of starting over. And in order for you to start over, you have to be willing to let go. Some of you guys are holding on to a life that you know isn't meant for you. Some of you guys are just holding on to the comfort, but you can only grow in discomfort. Some of you guys are just holding on to what you know, but if you keep holding on to what you know, you'll never be able to grow outside of that. So I feel like the next phase of your journey is like having to let go of, what once was or what you thought would be. I feel like one example is some of you guys could literally, maybe you built a family with someone with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, and this person didn't treat you right, or you're realizing that, maybe you got married too young or before you knew who this person was, something like that with the Nine of Wands. And now it's like you're getting a divorce and you're starting over all on your own, even though at one point you felt maybe stable, you felt like the Queen of Pentacles, you felt like Queen of Pentacles is very loyalty, so you gave your loyalty to someone, you invested everything into building. I really get, for some of you guys, it's about getting a divorce and having to kind of re-enter the world after maybe building a family with someone and not really having your own identity outside of that. Like, just some of you guys have been very lost in a relationship, but that relationship may not be about with a person. That relationship could also be with a job, breaking up with your job, divorcing a career that you don't find happiness in anymore, and starting a brand new way of living. But it could also be, kind of just divorcing a version of yourself where maybe you never actually allowed yourself to explore who you really were, and you just kind of fell into who you were supposed to be, like destiny versus fate. So you guys were living just fate, and now you're actually ready to embrace your destiny, or embrace like your truth in some way. So there's a really big like grieving energy here, so that you can then allow yourself to step into your truth, what will really make you happy.
Yes, and you want to be grounded in the present moment. The past might be a bit haunting, especially if it's sort of like you are sort of grappling with your fate changing into your destiny. So it is good. It's important to grieve, but also you want to ground yourself in the present moment. Sort of, if we have the pentacles here and also the wands, so maybe you have earth and fire, which is sort of, it's a hard thing because earth and fire don't really mix well. In fact, the only time they mix is like when the earth is on fire. So it's a very kind of hard combo to have in your astrological chart. However, if you ground yourself in the present moment, you can really fire that scorches down forest. Grounding yourself in the present moment, you can. You're very good at rebuilding. The forest will always grow back. The forest will grow back even stronger. So you're really good at rebuilding. Sort of hone into that kind of energy. Now we're gonna see what the crystals have in store for us. We have the aquamarine, healing, compassion, speaking your truth, compromise. There's going to be a lot of compromise going on, because compromise with yourself is what I'm getting, actually. And then we have rhodochrosite, I'm pronouncing that correctly. Service, contentment, healing emotional wounds, renewal of passion. Yeah, so I mean, when we're talking about divorce, whether it comes to persons or things in terms of like jobs, healing is very important. Achieving contentment is also important because maybe you weren't content in this past kind of endeavor. This is a new chapter in your life where you are seeking contentment. And renewal of passion. You might have lost this passion, whether it's emotional passion for someone, or maybe more of a logical passion for your job. So we want to enter this new era with a renewed kind of like grounding in the present moment, being able to enjoy something for what it is rather than a past version of how you experienced it.
Yeah, and with the blue here, you guys could definitely be healing your throat chakra. With the red, you could be healing your root chakra too. But I get a lot of throat chakra. Speaking your truth, I feel is very like I feel very drawn to the speaking your truth energy. So for you guys, you definitely are working with unlocking your throat chakra. That's what you need to focus on right now in order to unlock the next phase of your life. I feel like your personal voice or your personal self belief. So that's more of your solar plexus, but your sense of personal truth, speaking your truth, your voice mattering. I feel like in a lot of ways, however, you guys ended up in the Queen of Pentacles position where now you're turning into the Queen of Pentacles reverse because you're turning over a new leaf and changing. You guys ended up there because your truth wasn't heard, or in some ways it didn't matter. And so by releasing that throat chakra blockage, you now will be able to reclaim that sense of your voice matters, what you want matters, and being able to speak your truth, um, being able to speak the truth.
Yes, being able to speak the truth, very, very important. Maybe you felt sort of silenced, and that might be a big part of why you sort of left prior commitments, which is a good thing. It You might have felt like when you were unable to speak your truth, that there's a loss of passion. So the rhodochrosite is really telling us that this is going to be renewed. And I'm seeing service to yourself. So pulling from the Quantum Tarot, we have the Eight of Swords in reverse and the King of Wands in reverse. So just want to go through the book and see what phenomenon these represent. So that let's start with the Wands since I'm near that already. The King of Wands is Jupiter. Oh yes, that's the symbol right there. Yep, the symbol for Jupiter. A very you know, you might have been neglecting in neglecting the feminine aspects, you are neglecting the masculine aspect, which is what the reverse is telling me, because it's a balance. Neglect one, you neglect the other, because they both exist in harmony, which is a bit contradictory, but it makes sense because having true balance is the goal. So without yin, there's no yang. So without the feminine, there's no masculine, and that exists in all of us. Reading directly from the book about the King of Wands, we have Jupiter's largest planet, solar system, and is almost a mini star, interestingly, with 4 large moons and 59 smaller ones in orbit. So we have the symbolism of 4, 5, and 9. If any of those numbers resonate with you. It's a cloudy, turbulent planet. Famous red spot is a storm that's been raging for hundreds of years. Jupiter, that really that gives off kind of masculine energy. The storm, Jupiter's the equivalent of the Greek god Zeus. Okay, is the king of the gods in Roman mythology. His powerful aura and formidable leadership skills are reflected in the King of Wands. So yeah, maybe you're. So we have again the 9 of Wands and the King of Wands here. Maybe your leadership roles, the leadership role in your life has been sort of not been present, and you're sort of you're sort of stepping into that role again after you heal. That's important. You definitely don't want to skip the healing phase too quickly. Moving on to the 8 of Swords, we have Let's see what that represents. Eight of Swords is cork, confinement, and color charge. Okay, and you can sort of see here the imagery of the quarks. The quarks are what make up. They're subatomic particles that make up like the protons, the neutrons. So it says directly in the book, quarks are fundamental particles with an atom that have both electrical charge and color charge. Okay, I'm not really sure what is meant by color charge, but the latter has nothing to do with actual color. Okay, makes sense. But a naming convention to describe the way quarks are powerfully bound together by the strong force. Okay, so it's sounding like certain colors of quarks bond to each other strongly. Without color charge and the strong force, atomic nuclei would simply fly apart. The Eight of Swords represents this sense of being bound or confined by something overpowering, as this is the only realm. This is the airy realm of swords. What binds us are thoughts or ideas rather than physical restriction. Experience oppression and imprisonment, but also a dawning understanding that we have the key to our own freedom. So what I'm really just getting from this right away is that there's a lot of toxic masculinity that you might have been following and grew up in your life, and this is sort of like not physical confinement but emotional confinement. No one's holding you down and telling you what to do, but it's more society telling you how to act as the um, traditionally masculine figure. And right away we're seeing that sort of to lower your defenses, be more present, heal, have compassion, compromise, um, things that really describe a balance between your masculine and feminine rather than what society expects of men. And that's what the reverse of the Jupiter is telling me too. There's too much. Um, there's the expectations of men that society has are uh, sort of toxic, and the reverse is telling us to revisit those expectations.
Alright, next you guys have the Devil, Capricorn energy, the Sun in the reverse, and the Strength card in the reverse. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of healing of masculine energy for you guys. I don't feel like a lot of masculines watch my channel, but there definitely could be a few in this pile. But even if there isn't, there still is that. Even if you're not like you don't identify as a man, you still have masculine energy within you, and you have like a wounded masculine energy. With the Strength card in the reverse and the Sun in the reverse, I feel like there was some sort of toxic masculinity in your life that was a really big force. And for a lot of us, the toxic masculinity is actually, you know, the society that we live in, meaning like the capitalist society with the Devil card, especially like greed, everything is about money. That's a very low vibrational masculine energy. So I feel like the next phase for you guys is honestly about rewiring your life outside of this. So with the Devil, some of you guys did experience corporate greed, or you were in a really toxic workplace, or you just worked your life away. And obviously, if you're watching this, your life isn't over, so you didn't necessarily work your life away completely, but it could feel that way. Like you never got to experience your happiness, the Sun in the reverse. So you guys could definitely, the Strength card in the reverse, you could just feel not very strong, not very powerful, kind of weak, and also just losing your vibrancy. Both of these cards in the reverse is definitely telling you to work with your solar plexus chakra. It's like you guys lost your confidence. I kind of think of like housewives that just lost who they were in that. But on the other aspect, I also see someone that was in the career field and they lost their sense of joy or happiness while in that too. So I feel like the next phase of your life is reclaiming your life and separating yourself from toxic chains of attachment. With the Nine of Wands, though, I feel like some of you guys are being resistant towards this change. So now is the time where you have to cut things off with the Devil card that you know are toxic in toxic cycles in your life. Um, some of you guys, you know it's time to quit a job, or you just know it's time to move on from a certain phase of your life into a phase where you can have happiness and joy, and you do deserve that. I feel like a lot of you guys just kind of lost the idea that you could experience happiness or that you deserve to feel that like youthful joy energy. Life is just really drained that out of you. So the next phase of your life is replenishing that and reconnecting to that sense of like joyful abundance, to that like sunlight energy, healing your throat chakra, healing your solar plexus chakra especially, and having more vitality overall.
Seven of Ravens, also the Seven of Ravens, also the suit of Cups, and Knight of Hearts, also the suit of Swords. So yes, exactly what we have. What was just said about the taking reclaiming your life, taking charge again. The seven of Cups / Ravens talks about choices, and the Knight talks about the Knight of the Knight of Hearts or the Knight of Swords talks about decisiveness. So there is a clear transition, clear chapter change from you're going into this new part of your life with choices and a decision to make. It really couldn't be much clearer that you have your old ways and your new ways, and you are choosing whether to you have your old ways, new ways, and sort of everything in between, and you are choosing to either you're choosing which side to continue on. And I think this is transitioning really nicely into the uh, mindfulness deck. We have meditate for 5 minutes. This is telling me that don't underthink or don't overthink this choice you have. You definitely want to think of someone you love, is what the card is telling me. Wish that person well. That's good, because it sort of means that you want to be making this decision to move forward from a space of from a healthy space, especially if you are the father figure. Maybe your children you're thinking of, or if you are talking about if getting a new job or something. What do you love about this job? What do you love about the people you work with? Free yourself from suffering, free yourself from societal expectations, give that person their dream life, and let it put a smile on your face. So I'm really getting from here that what are you teaching the next generation? So maybe maybe your child is going through a big transition, and as the father, how are you going to teach your progeny how to navigate the new world? What are you going to tell? What are you going to reinforce in their life so that they are doing those? Whatever you reinforce in their life is what the new world will be the foundation for the new world, basically.
Yeah, and you guys get Akashic records.
My favorite.
Clearing old stories, releasing past lives, and freedom. So yeah, the Devil card, the Akashic records, a lot of whatever was chaining you that you're releasing with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse definitely could have had a heavy past life. Some of you guys had a heavy soul tie to someone as well. So when you draw this card, the universe is releasing you from past experiences. These can be soul-based memories, fears from previous lifetimes, or older aspects of this current lifetime that you have moved on from. Know that this is time to reclaim your freedom and rewrite your story. You can do this by following through on your dreams. Gone are the days of fear-based indecision. This is a time to rise up and claim your truth. If you are sitting on a dream or are feeling called to move in a particular direction, it's because you have unearthed an important soul lesson, and it is essential for you to follow that call to clear unwanted energies of your past. As you do so, don't allow yourself to be pulled into expecting the worst possible outcome. Know that this expectation is not your truth, but old energy being released from your energy body. Call in angels to shine their light on any repressed fears, energies, or stories that are no longer serving you. It's time to fly high in freedom. So yeah, this energy definitely gives a lot of liberation. I feel like you guys are really liberating yourself from something, and you're reclaiming your freedom after a period of time where In some ways, you could have been enslaved. I would say more so like a spiritual enslavement, but you're definitely cutting some sort of cord right now, and you're reclaiming your freedom in this next phase.
Yep, I really like I really like how this symbolizes maybe your father who has sort of maybe there's been some trauma involved with that. Basically, this is giving like me the impression that you are breaking a cycle. You know, when it comes to generations, you're breaking a generational curse. Don't um, releasing past lives. Maybe not even your own past life. It could even mean like the past life in terms of like your ancestors. So not repeating the same mistakes of your father or parent and learning from them and passing down a healthier version of your um, ancestral line. The healthiest version, I should say.
Yeah, and you guys have Order of Melchizedek, embraced by light, mission uncovered, don't give up. You have learned so much and are now recognizing all the great lessons your experiences and challenges have brought you. The Order of Melchizedek is coming to you today to encourage you to continue on this path and to not give up. Even in moments of darkness and fear, there is opportunity for you to share your light. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's imperative for you to know you're not alone. Light is with you and within you, and by invoking spiritual support, you will be able to muster up the strength, courage, and focus you need to surmount whatever challenges you face. Yeah, with the strength card in the reverse, you guys could feel like you don't have any strength, you don't have any courage, but by harnessing this energy, you have the courage, you have the strength within you. You just need to reconnect to it because you haven't connected to it in so long. And when you do rise up, you will realize that you had that strength within you all along. Okay? So yeah, that's what we're seeing for you guys. Group number 3. Definitely comment down below. Let me know how this resonates for you. Like, share, subscribe. Much, much love. Namaste.